Hello! Welcome to Unboxing Alyss, the YouTube channel with that purple fox that unboxes things. I'll do this. There you go. That unboxes things. That unboxes things. I'm Alistair Frost, and today we are starting off December with Ponyville Ciderfest. That is going to be the theme this month, and for this video, we're going to talk about what I did. Ponyville Ciderfest is a smaller My Little Pony convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It is run by Worthwhile Events. They are also the same group that runs Windy City PonyCon. Hold this up again because their advertising for next year's cons are on here, so you can see Windy City and then Ponyville Ciderfest next year. No, it's a really awesome convention. If you really love My Little Pony, it is a great place to meet other like-minded people. There's a lot of great vendors, and it's an excellent opportunity to volunteer. And I'm going to stop touching my desk because I'm almost knocking things over. So real quickly, I was hoping to do this video in my bedroom because that is My Little Pony themed, but I have not had time to decorate. Nothing is up. It's just bare everything, to be perfectly honest. I have some pillows on my bed, but there's nothing else. So I guess I could have sat on my bed, but whatever. Next year, I promise I will have a My Little Pony theme room like in the background as I talk to you. But yeah, for now, it's just my desk again. Anywho, so Ponyville Cider Fest is it's I think it's my fourth year maybe going. I've gone, this year, last year, I think the year before, and then at least once pre-COVID, like 2017 or 2018, something like that. Maybe both were 2018. I don't remember, but it was a huge blast. I saw a lot of cool vendors, bought way too much merch. That will be the next video, and I really got to make a difference volunteering. And this video is all about what I did. So let's get started. My vid starts on Thursday because I usually go to cons the day before. At the kind of last minute, a friend of mine, Pink Sands, could not get off work for Friday. So I ended up driving myself Thursday. I was trying to leave a lot earlier than I did. I ended up leaving 2 hours later than I wanted to, which sucked. Part of that was because I had to go buy leggings for the Grand Galloping Gala. I will get to that. But I got up to Milwaukee about 5:45. I'm in central Illinois, so it's about a 4 hour drive for me, 4.5, depending on traffic. Of course, me leaving later means I get hit with traffic. So awesome, great, that's what I wanted. No, it is not what I wanted. Anywho, I get there, I am able to unload my bags and check in, and I went ahead and got my volunteer badge. I could not get my attendee badge yet because I wasn't a sponsor this year. I was last year, hope to be next year, but I was not a sponsor this year. I did not have the money. So I had to wait till I think 7 to get my attendee badge. But having a volunteer badge is good enough for working the con. So I was able to get that. I was also able to get this shirt that I'm wearing. I can't see the shirt because I have a face in the way, but you're looking at an orange shirt with like red lettering. That was the Royal Guard shirt this year, or security. I believe standard. What colors do they have? I think AV also had purple again, and I think the regular volunteers had pink again. I can't remember. Last year for AV, we had like a teal color with, I think, pink inking or lettering, whatever you want to call it. I like this better. It kind of reminds me of our safety orange that we have at work. I work in state government, and I work for the Department of Transportation. And so we're construction and maintenance, like road projects. That's what we do. So there's a lot of us out on the roads with those big bright orange or yellow vests. That's what this reminds me of. I actually kind of like this a bit better than last year because last year we had the teal. This, for some reason, just stands out a lot more to me, and I really like that, especially considering I'm security. You want to find me if something is going down, and there isn't really much going down, but just in case, you'll want to find someone who is wearing the same shirt I do. I am. But as I said in, I think, Gateway Fur Meet, or that video, there's not much going on Thursdays. I mainly just go up to beat the crowds, just kind of get settled with my friend Will Cards and I. When we go to like Midwest Fur Fest, we will spend Thursday night going through the schedule and figuring out what we want to see, what we want to do, like when we're going to eat dinner, all of that, just coordination. It's something I usually do with Pink Sands and JD, but of course they wouldn't be able to come until Friday, so I was in the room by myself. By the way, I tried to make this somewhat My Little Pony. So I put some art of a Kahina, my primary Sona, on here. This was done by JD. It was years ago. And it was a commission that I got from him. And she is cute, and she is sleeping under the moon, and I love it. So I just wanted to point that out. That yes, JD actually did this art for me. So Thursday night, I was hoping to help a bit more than I could because I got there so late, but I was still scheduled for 7 to 9. Then, fortunately, getting there so late, didn't have time for dinner. So, like, I just, worked 7 to 9, mainly staying on the second floor, which that's where the bulk of the employees, attendees were. A lot of people, that's where registration is, but there's no panels on Thursday, and those are mainly on the first floor. So, the apple orchard is just kind of a stage area. It's an open area. It's not really a room. That had people in it. There are people just chilling downstairs, but not in any of the rooms. So it's mainly registration. And right next to the registration was the vendor hall. So I was able to pop in there a little bit, just make sure everything was going fine. The head of that, Screw Loose, I actually know from another, like a voice acting project I was on. I won't get into that, but he's really cool. He's very, very talented. We got a good, we had a good conversation about voice acting. I might get back into that. I'm not sure. Let's see about time. But anyway, so that was mainly like Thursday, just monitoring the line, which ain't nobody gonna do another line, and just kind of walking around and getting used to the space. One of the other Royal Guard members did take me around, kind of show me where things were, and very friendly. I will just shout out right now to the Royal Guard. There were maybe, I didn't count, but probably 8 of us total, probably including me. All the rest are all guys, but just like GFM, the others are all guys. But I'm the only woman. But it doesn't really matter any at all. I really appreciate the Royal Guard. I appreciate those guys. They were very helpful. They assist me a lot, and they back me up. I got a lot of support for them. Not really any major things happening. There were a few people that got all crabby because they had to show me their badge or their ID if it's an 18 plus panel or the After Dark vendor hall. But I mean, the rules, people. You need to show your badge or your ID if it's 18 plus. So I know you're crabby that you left it in your room. I can't help you with that. Put the darn thing around your neck and you're less inclined to lose it. But anywho, so no, I got a few crabby people, but I really appreciated the fact that the Royal Guard guys were there to support me 100%, as well as Charlie and Michelle, who are I believe, owners of Worthwhile Events, the people who put these on. So I did get a decent amount of like thank yous and compliments because I do take badges and checking badges and ID very seriously. So, but no, I will just shout them out because they are awesome. They were great all weekend, and I cannot wait to work with them again. But it was a short night. Well, there was a short what do you call it, shift that night. The night was not short. The shift was short. While I was there, the con store was selling the autographs and photos for the guests of honor. I was appreciative of that because I totally forgot to put in my schedule buy autograph stuff. You have to go to the con store to do that. In years past, the con store line has been insane. It was like hour and a half just to get through it. So I was afraid of that. I'm really glad they were they weren't selling anything else, just tickets. But I appreciated that, so I went ahead and bought 3. One for Andrew Francis, and I thought 2 for Kyle Rideout because I have 2 things for him to sell or sign. Sorry. One going to Andrew Nielsen. I wasn't expecting that. I bought the ticket, but we'll get there. So after my shift, because they were sitting right there, and so I'm patrolling. I was like, I can stop 2 seconds, give them 20, $50, whatever it was, and they can give me my ticket, and I can keep patrolling. I can hand you money and look around at the same time. I can do 2 things. So after that, I decided to visit Sailor, Texas, and Cranshawn. They are 2 friends of mine who I met at the Crystal Fair, which was another My Little Pony convention, very, very small one in St. Louis. It, as of right now, does not exist anymore. It kind of died with COVID. I believe the head of that has, not recently, but she has had a baby since then. So there's a lot going on with her life. But we'll see in the future if the Crystal Fair comes back. But it was like maybe 30 to 50 people. It was a very, very small event, but it was still a lot of fun. But I met those two there, and we've kind of kept in contact. And now they're part of my Thursday D&D group. Karen Chan is actually our DM for our main campaign. Sailor Texas is doing a separate campaign for us, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. I It's honestly just really interesting who you meet at certain events and who sticks with you. That just and through me, I guess, JD just went with me to the Crystal Fair, and he also met them, and he is also in our D&D group, and he just did a one shot, I think, a couple months ago, because those two needed to work on their campaign. So he's like, okay, I can DM for a few months. So it's just really crazy who you meet and where, and again, who sticks with you. They're still very, very good friends of mine. I love them both. Though I want to strangle Sailor Texas because she got me into the Helliverse, and that's because of her. I spent way too much money on Helliverse merch. But anyway, I ended up talking to them. Speaking of the Helliverse, we spent much of that time talking about Has Been Season 2. If you aren't familiar with the Helliverse, I'm talking about Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. They are sister shows. They are in the same universe. They have completely different characters, but they do go together. And there may be some crossover in the future because of some distribution changes. Anyway, but the season 2 of Has Been had just finished. I think the last two episodes come out the Wednesday before the convention, so it was very fresh. And I think Karen and Sailor Texas had driven up by themselves. I'm sorry, together, and so they were just talking about that the entire time. And so when I enter the room, now they're talking to me about that, and we're talking about our favorite characters, least favorite characters, all the changes and the theories. Mostly Sailor Texas' theories. She has all of the theories for that, as well as Hell of a Boss. I think we, Sailor Texas and I, are a bit more partial to Hell of a Boss, though we both still love Has Been. I think Karen Chan is a bit closer to Has Been, but she still enjoys Hell of a Boss. So that's kind of how fandom works, according to Sailor Texas. People tend to like one over the other, but they usually do like both. So fun evening. We had a lot of good conversation, but I think I left around probably close to midnight, and I was like, oh yeah, I have to go get food. They're like, wait, you didn't get food? You gave to us when I was yeah. I was like, no, I'll just stop by. I'll say something to them, and then I'll go get food. And 3 hours later, I was like, there's a place called George Webb across the way. We went there last year. They're fairly cheap, and they are 24/7. And I went there for grabbed a burger and fries. Burger was fine. I'm pretty sure I have a picture, so all pictures will probably go in this area. I know in the past, before I bought this house, if I did convention videos, I would usually go back and forth with my videos, or I'm sorry, with my photos on each side. There's a lot of crap over here, so since it's fairly, I'll just cover up a future diary. I'll just cover up that wall scroll, and you'll see pictures just probably over here. So once again, I'll be putting random pictures in here unless I talk about something specific. But other than that, you're going to see just random pictures I took at PVCF. But I went there, and oh my gosh, I think it was at least 40 minutes waiting for my food. And granted, there was one woman taking orders and one guy cooking, so there's only like two people on staff in the entire restaurant. But oh my gosh, and I was so hungry because I had not eaten since noon, so I'm dying. And again, the food wasn't the greatest. It wasn't horrible or anything. It's fine, I guess. I think I liked my food better last year. I think I had a BLT last year, so maybe the BLT just tastes better. Or maybe the cook was tired. Who knows? I don't know. It was 1:30 in the morning. But went to bed around probably 2-ish. I wake up and my first shift is at 11. Thank you. So I can sleep in a little bit. Oh no, I think around 10:30. I'm sorry. So I get down there, and I thought I was going to roam for a bit, but I was grabbed by Justin, who is the head of security or head of Royal Guard. And he took me around again and just explained things in further detail. And then I started helping them gather people for the main events because around 11, I believe, was the opening ceremonies. And I ended up sitting at the door for that and just checking badges. And it's a pretty easy job. It's just, if I see your badge, go. The only time I stop people is if I can't see it, which usually is because the badge is flipped. Badges do that. If you've been to a convention or you have badges, your badges will flip all the time. You won't notice. So yeah, just, can you flip your badge? Cool, enjoy, just that type of thing. There are a few people that like to keep their badges in their pockets or like underneath a bunch of clothes. Why would you do that? I don't understand people who do that. Yes, I'm going to have you stop and dig and find it so I can see it. There you go. Just keep the. It doesn't have to be around your neck if you don't care for that. You can clip it to your clothes. Just make it so I can see it. For the love of goodness. I went, into the opening. Well, I didn't go into the opening ceremony. I can hear it where they introduced everybody and talked about the theme this year, which is game show. I'll hold this. I'm going to hold this up a lot, but here is the game show motif they had this year. Not my favorite theme. Nothing really wrong with it. It just like if you it shows you the back. I'll go to the Festival of Arts sounds really interesting. Really looking forward to Ren Fair, and that's Winnie City, not PVCF. But again, same people. So like Ren Fair, I'd be way more like that one. I absolutely want a sponsor package. It's gonna be so expensive. I don't know if I can buy that sponsor package. I'll buy as expensive a one as I can afford. But anyway, still had a lot of fun with the whole game show motif. But after opening ceremonies, I was just I think I was just door checking. I don't think I moved because they had a big thing in main events. I'm not sure. It might have involved the guest of honor, which I can name half of them. I'm sorry. I can name the ones I saw. But I know I was at the door for that, and then I had to get up and leave because I had to go up and get my stuff for my, guest to sign. And so I got in line for that at around 1:30. It took a very long time, in part because I am not a sponsor this year. Sponsors have their own line and they get in a lot faster. I want to never not be a sponsor ever again, honestly, after this year. Sponsor packages are expensive. I'm not going to lie. Like I had the Spike package. That is not a sponsor package. And I knew that when I bought it. Spike and I think the one right above it is not technically a sponsor package. You get cool stuff. I'm not knocking what I got in that package, and I'll show that to you in the next video. But these do not count as a sponsor to you. But anywho, I got my autograph from Andrew Francis, who my friend Sailor Texas absolutely loves, and she's known him for quite a few years at this point. He plays Shining Armor. I will try to put pictures of the characters they play, whoever I tell you. So Shining Armor should be up here. I have a Build-A-Bear of him, and so he signed Shining Armor's leg, the left leg, just like Kelly Sheridan signed Starlight Glimmers. And for Kyle Rideout, I did have a badge of Thorax. He plays a changeling, the head of the king of the changelings in the show for G. These are all G4 characters. He's adorable. I wasn't the coolest with his design initially, but he is. It's grown on me, and he is so sweet. I love Thorax so much. And both actors were really great. They were really nice and really fun to talk to. For Kyle Rideout, I actually had him sign one of the enamel pins I got from Miss Melee. If you guys remember the what do you call it? The ponytail pride pin. So just all My Little Pony stuff, but they were like pride themed and they're big. I sponsored Thorax in that campaign, and Thorax is pretty big. And I had been using that in my multi-fandom bag. I've since switched to the Guardian pins, which combine G4 and G5, also by Miss Melee. I just switched it up for a change of pace. There's nothing wrong with the pride pin. But I figured, hey, why don't I just have him sign the back one of it? I didn't want him to sign the front because that's on Thorax, but he did sign the back of the pin. And because I had sponsored Thorax, I'd gotten extras, and some of which I had sold at a previous Ciderfest. Thank you, Sailor Texas, for letting me borrow some of your vendor space. But I have a few left, and I just gave him one because, why not? This is his character. And yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I think they ran a little over, but I think they started late. Well, I think whatever was in the main events did concern the guests of honor, so they were all kind of what do you call it? They were hung up a little bit with the previous event that they were doing. But in addition to Kyle Rideout and Andrew Francis, the guy who plays Brayburn was there. Some of these I do not know their names. I'm sorry. I just know the characters. Sunny Star Scout was actually there. Not from the movie, not from the A New Generation movie. That's Vanessa Hudgens. They are never getting Vanessa Hudgens. But the voice actress who plays her in the show, Mike Mark, as well as Tell Your Tale, was there. Ingrid Nielsen was there. She plays Maud Pie as well as Marble and Limestone. So if you see My Little Pony, the Pie sisters, minus Pinky. Pinky is somebody else. But she plays the rest of them. And I can mention her because I met her the next day. But oh yeah. So after the autographs, I'm kind of just working. I'm roaming. I'm looking around. I do have a cheat sheet, just in case. Yeah, I just kind of roamed from whenever that ended to about 6-ish, 6:30. And I went into my room, took my shirt off, and oh my gosh. But you know what I mean, I changed. and I got ready for the Grand Gap Gala. And just, I guess as a quick note, when I'm not on duty, the shirt comes off, and I'm putting on regular My Little Pony themed shirts. When we had our meetings before the convention, they mentioned that if you are not on duty, it's best to remove your staff shirt. Well, not staff, you know what I mean? We can't say staff, team member, volunteer, whatever, volunteer shirt. For two reasons. One, if people see you in your volunteer shirt, they will assume you are on duty. So if you want to wear your shirt, cool, but don't get upset when people start asking you questions because they are assuming you are working. Number two is so they know who is on duty and who isn't. That is more probably a security thing, maybe AD as well. Because if we usually have at least two people, like at least two Royal Guard members walking around at the same time, usually, sometimes more than that, but it just depends on what time it is. But if, Justin, who is in charge, if he's looking around and he sees myself and someone else on the floor in our shirts, he's going to assume we're both on duty. So if I'm actually not on duty, that he'll need someone to replace me. So that's basically for his benefit, so he knows who is actually working who. And there's a schedule too, but you don't want to look at the schedule every 5 seconds. So that's why in this case, I'm going to the gala. So yeah, I'm going to change anyway. But even like throughout Saturday and Sunday, when I go to some of like the panels and things, their shirt came off. So I changed for the gala, and if you don't know what the Grand Galloping Gala is in the show, it takes place on the best night ever. That is the season finale of season 1. If you are listening to our podcast or you haven't yet, well, if you haven't, please check out our podcast, Every Pony Should Pony Pony. It is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I think, Apple Music, whatever it's called. I don't have an Apple device, but we've covered that episode already, along with Party of One, because we do 2 episodes at a time. And Best Night Ever was it wasn't a 2-part finale, it was a 1-part. So, but no, the whole season in the show led up to it, where they're getting dresses for it, and they're getting tickets for it, which surprised the heck out of me when they kept that going, that plot line going. I mentioned that in the podcast. But it was a formal event in the city of Canterlot in the show, where a lot of high society ponies come and dress up, and there's a dance, and there's hors d'oeuvres, and Princess Celestia is there, and all of that. So Princess Celestia isn't there this one, but it is a fancy formal event, as in you do need to be dressed up, or they will turn you away. So I got like a sweater. Well, I have a sweater dress. I have multiple sweater dresses. Got one of those. I was going to pair it with some leggings. Didn't realize I didn't have black leggings. I thought I did, but that's part of why I was late leaving on Thursday. I had to run out to Walmart and get leggings. But I'll put a picture of me, I guess. Went down there. They had hors d'oeuvres. I stuffed my face with those hors d'oeuvres because the gala is my dinner. Last year when I attended, because I was getting the sponsor, that was definitely part of my sponsor package then. In the Spike package, you do get the gala ticket. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll go to that. I went because, sure, why not, last year. And that's when I realized, oh, it has food? There's food here? Which saves me money because I don't have to pay for dinner. Well, I mean, I guess I technically did pay for it because I paid for the ticket, but you know what I mean? I don't have to buy an extra meal. I just eat at the gala. So I went to that. I was there till about, 8:30. And go back up, get out of that, put the shirt back on, and then I go down to help with the later panels. Much of that was basically managing lines for the After Dark vendor hall. And I think I mentioned there's a little bit in the Gateway Fur Meet video. So with Gateway Fur Meet, they had a regular vendor hall, they had an 18 plus vendor hall right next door, and then they had the artists, which were in the hallway. And these sets of they're two different vendors. You're one or the other. With Ponyville Ciderfest, you have your vendor hall, and then it closes at 7 or whatever the heck. And so vendors go off, probably go eat, relax a little bit, and then for those that want to, they could come back at 9, 10, something like that. They'll go in a completely different room. So I think it was the barley room on the first floor. They will set up their stuff and they will have an after dark vendor hall. So they're selling their more adult content. And there's always a huge line for that, and it's always unwieldy and ridiculous. So they do need multiple people, especially in the beginning, to kind of guide everybody. They did add something new this year, which I really, really loved. So we check IDs, and they made it easier. So the barley room has the after dark panel, and then there are 2 other panel rooms. I think Fizzy Glitch and then Caramel Malt, or whatever that character's name is. So all 3 main panel rooms are down here in the same area. At this point, the panel rooms are now 18 plus. Any panel that's in it is going to be 18 plus. That just makes it easier for us. So there's this hallway with all of the rooms, then there's this bottleneck to get to the hallway. So we set up by that bottleneck. So if you want to go past us, you're showing your ID, because everything past us is 18 plus. But so we're checking IDs, and of course we're checking badges. But they decided to implement a stamp system this year. So we check your ID, and then we stamp your hand. And it's a stamp that only shows up via black light. So there were a couple people where we stamped their hand, like, I don't think it worked. Like, no, it worked. We showed the light, like, oh my God, that's really cool. But this was great because there are plenty of people that will come in for whatever it is, the panel, the hall, whatever, and they'll leave, and then they'll decide that you'll come back in again. Every time you do that, you are showing us your ID. I'm not gonna memorize you, no matter what. This is what was instilled into me. Check everybody, badge everybody, ID everyone who goes through. I don't care if it's a staff member. I don't care if it's Charlie and Michelle who run Worthwhile Events. Check everyone, to the point where Andrew Francis walked in one night and I felt awful. I was like, I'm so sorry, sir. Can I see your ID? I know who he is. I've seen him. I know he's a guest of honor. Doesn't matter. I'm told to check everybody, so that is what I'm going to do. That is what my job is. Still felt bad about it. And he laughed. He just laughed it all. He laughed at it. And when he was coming back, leaving the area, he's like, I just want to thank you for taking your job seriously. No, you didn't offend me at all. This is your job, and you clearly take it seriously. And I was like, oh, thank you, sir. I still feel bad, but thank you. It was a lot of fun, and the stamps made things so much easier because once you're stamped, that's it. You can come back in, and we'll just flash the black light. We flash it. There's your stamp. Hop on in. We don't see your stamp. Show us your ID. It was that simple, and it made things a lot easier. Something I'm definitely going to bring up to Gateway Fur Meet, because that we have 18 plus stuff too. So that would really be great to have. So, that was a long night. I think I worked till about 11. Well, not long. I worked till like about 11:30, and then they went ahead and just dismissed me because there were like 4 of us still there. Like, no, we're good. We've got this covered. You've already done more than you're supposed to go upstairs. So at that point, Pink Sands and JD had shown up. Pink Sands, I think, got off at 5, so she just took off and started driving with JV after she got off work. So it was going to take them. I think they got there around 10, which is what we expected. Because I think stop for food, stop for bathroom, all of that. So I knew they were coming. Thankfully, the after dark panel's on the first floor, and so is registration. So I was like, you just come in. You will probably see me because I'm by a line. So I gave them their keys, told us where we were, all of that. I knew they were really tired after a very long day, especially Pink Sands, because she was been working all day and she's a vet tech. So it's a very, very demanding job. But when I went up there, they still said, oh, we can, because we were trying to show JD sing too. So I know Pink Sands fell asleep in the middle of it, but she sings same game, and she really liked it. Definitely a good movie. I was surprised. It outdid the first one, to be perfectly honest. But I think I got to bed at like 1:30. So Saturday. Wait, yes, yes. Saturday's the busiest day. So unfortunately, I started at 8 today. So get up at 8, and I am doing some roaming, but I also did some badge checking, mainly main events, especially like check badges for that. I did that till about 12:30, and as I'm roaming when I do that, roaming the vendor hall, I will roam shop. I'll patrol shop. So nobody's doing anything. Everything looks good. Ooh, I like that bookmark right there. Okay, is everything okay over there? Yeah, I'm getting that keychain. Dude, that type of thing. I did do a little bit of that. I'll really admit that. I did one of the things I did buy on the spot was a badge for that has bought pie on it because I decided to have Ingrid Nielsen sign something and I didn't have anything for her to sign. So like badge, she can sign that. So I got a fairly cheap badge. It was fine. And then I worked until 12:30 and got into the line for Ingrid, and they had like one giant line for like all just autographs. And once they were getting close to opening up, then they start splitting people. Sponsors, of course, online, and then you split it up by who you wanted to see. So, of course, everyone and their grandma wanted to see Ingrid that day. So my line just it like never moved. It was oh my god. It was honestly it was way worse. No, what's his name? Blake Roman was way worse at GalaxyCon. He plays Angel Dust in Has Been Hotel, and I think the Egg Boys for Has Been Hotel. But I had a plushie of Angel Dust's pet pig, demon pig fat nuggets. I'm going to sign that. But that line never moved for like 40 minutes. Didn't move though. I think Blake went off to get coffee somewhere. So at the very least, that was not happening. Ingrid was at her desk. She was at her booth. There's a lot of people, and they do let you talk to them. It's not a. It will depend on the guest. Honestly, some guests like to talk more than others. Um, I think with Brandon, at GalaxyCon, Brandon Rogers went pretty fast. He also did like above you know selfies. No, the others would get around, put their arm around you, da 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 da. I had a lot of conversation, good conversation like Richard Horvitz and what's her name, Vivian Nixon Williams, who are Moxie and Millie respectively, and Hell of a Boss. I know I'm crossing into GalaxyCon. Sorry about that, but it just depends on the guest. And with a lot of the guests for Ponyville Ciderfest, they tend to let people talk too. So yes, you're in line forever, but then they're going to give you your time eventually. So it's really sweet, and she was really sweet, and she signed the badge I had bought, but she was kind of afraid it would run. So she's like, "Oh, do you want me to sign one of these?" Because they have like little prints of their characters, that you can just buy on the spot and have them sign if you want to do that. If you don't have anything, or maybe they just give it to you. I'm not really sure. With GalaxyCon, everything in front you had to purchase it separately, but with the guests for I'm not, huh? I'm actually wondering if you buy an autograph, can you get like one of the prints for free? I'm not sure how that works. If I'm wrong, then feel free to yell at me in the comments. But I don't know how that works because I've always brought something for them to sign. But she's like, "Oh no, I'll sign one of these too, just in case that one smudges." I was like, "Oh, that's not necessary, but thank you." So I got a picture of Maud, Marble, and Limestone doing yoga. Limestone very angrily because that's how Limestone is, which you'll see in the next video. But it was really sweet of her to do that. I picked that one specifically because she was running a meditation panel on Sunday. But yeah, that I think they went over like to 2:30 for that. And I messaged Justin like, "Hey, I am supposed to be back." Well, actually, no, I wasn't supposed to be back on duty, so I didn't really say anything. At 3 was the Pony Show trivia, G4 only. So thankfully, we don't deal with G5, which I'd have to probably rewatch to remember things, and I don't want to really do that. And the previous gens I've never seen, so I can't help you with those. So thankfully, it's just G4. I got very lawyery last year, but no, I put that aside this year. We initially were going to have to fight another group of people that have Sailor Texas on our team, but I guess she couldn't find them, so she ended up on our team. So it was myself, JD, Pink Sands, Sailor Texas, and then a random person we don't know. And we called ourselves Every Pony Should Pony Pony because that's the name of our podcast. And crazily enough, there was another group that was called Pony Should Pony Pony, which confused the host of the band. And I was like, no, we've got okay, Pony Should Pony Pony has so many points. And I was like, oh, we're Every Pony Should Pony Pony. We're like, wait, hang on. Oh, okay. So we have an Every Pony Should Pony Pony, and we have a Pony Should Pony Pony. And that dates back to the song becoming popular, The Pony Every Pony Should Know. It is in the episode Sweet and Elite. It's season 2. We've actually already covered it on our podcast. But it's a very popular song, very good song, and that's kind of where that Pony Should Pony Pony comes from. That's where our title for our podcast came from. That's what JD came up with. I just found it hilarious that we have another group with almost the same name as us. But after the Pony Show trivia, I think I was supposed to go to the Feelings Forum because all this time I'm off. I'm not scheduled to work. I skipped the Feelings Forum just to get food because I knew I was going to be working for a while. I don't know when else I'd eat. And JD and Pink Sands were hungry anyway, so we went to, I think it was Major Ghoulies. If I need to correct that, I'll do it in edits. I got a burger from them. I don't know why. I don't eat a lot of pork and beef, so that might be why I tend to grab burgers when I'm going to these conventions and things. I don't usually eat pork and beef. I can, I just choose not to most of the time. It's not like a religious thing or an allergy. But their burger was way better. It was really good. It was definitely worth it. And again, not that expensive, like, $15, $20, something like that for the meal. After that, now I'm on duty at what I thought was 5. It's actually 5:30, which is good because I was running late. So I saw Nurse Matt, who's he has a Royal Guard shirt, but he may be kind of his own entity because he is medic. He's very much our medic for the convention. But I met with him and I was like, "Oh God, I'm late. I'm so sorry." He's like, "No, no, you're fine. You're 5:30, just like me. We're good." Yeah, they use like Excel for like the grids and the times. It can be kind of hard to tell where the times start and end. But I was fine. I was going to work from 5 to 10, just a combination of roaming and dooring whenever they needed me, and then I was going to be off. But well, initially I was going to do that so I could hang out with my friends because I barely saw JD and Pink Sands last year. So I wanted to devote some time for them, and maybe we could get together with Sailor Texas and Karen Chan and all just kind of hang out and most likely watch Has-Been because Sailor Texas is hell bent on getting JD to finish Has-Been. It's going to happen, JD, whether you like it or not. You're going to finish that show. But they said, "Oh no, we were going to go to the After Dark vendor panel and check it out." I was like, "Okay, well if you guys are going, you'll be in a giant line. You're going to be down there forever, so I might as well work some of it." So I did. So I worked my 5 to 10, but it carried over into about 2 a.m. From 1:30 to 2 a.m. to the point where me and Ringquist were the only ones on duty, which is fine. But I wasn't expecting that, but I was fine with it. I said, well, my friends have decided, come to the After Dark panel. They're going to be doing other things. So, I'll just work. I don't mind. And I know they mentioned in the past, they want people to sleep. They want people to visit things. They don't want you sleep deprived. I was like, I'm used to being sleep deprived. With Gateway Fermi, they don't have anywhere near the amount of people that PVCF or Winnie City have. So again, with Gateway Fermi, I'm in the same department. It's still security. But we had 3.75 people. Whereas at Ponyville Ciderfest, there's about 8 of us. So, literally double. Then you can, do a lot more and spread out a lot more when you have more people. With GFM, you can't. You all kind of have to be on duty at all times. And especially because, it was a very big convention space. But I told him it doesn't matter to me because I'm used to it. I'm used to not getting a ton of sleep when I'm working at conventions. And I really like helping. I like making a difference. I honestly do. And when there is downtime, I can talk with some of the other team members, whether they are, Royal Guard or otherwise. when it came to the After Dark panel, that was run more by the vendor committee. So the standard volunteer shirt, I think pink maybe. But when it got slow, I'm talking to them. And this is just a great way, regardless of what con it is. I, I did not say Wakanda, regardless of what con it is. Volunteering is something you should really think about, especially if you're going to a convention by yourself. And in this case, I'm not. I have 4 friends that are there with me. But for GFM, I didn't know anyone for the longest time. And when you volunteer, you're kind of forced to meet people because you're interacting with people and you're working with other people. But it's, I don't know, it's a lot of work, but these have been the best convention times of my life, honestly, when I started volunteering. In part because I'm meeting people, and also because I'm constantly doing things, I'm constantly helping, and I like doing that. So just something to think about if you want. You're thinking of attending a con. I would probably suggest going to the con first to kind of get a layout of how it works, and then maybe volunteering after that. But if you want to volunteer your first year, go for it. But anywho, same thing with After Dark. It got a little. I think it started later because they moved another panel. I think it's anthology. I have no clue what that is about, but it's extremely popular. Like the line for anthology is on par with the After Dark vendor hall line. So I don't think I was there for the beginning of that line, but when I went down, they basically stationed me at the bottleneck before you can get to the 18 plus stuff, which is why I didn't realize my friends had come down for the After Dark thing. It went right back upstairs because JD had an expired license, so we can't accept that. He didn't realize it, so they couldn't go. I mean, I would have probably maybe ducked out a little earlier if I'd known that, so I could spend some time with them. I just didn't know until later on. I felt bad, but it also gotten really busy, and a couple of the guys were off at I think around 11:30, and the After Dark I think had been moved to start at 11, I think, instead of 10, because Anthology had also been moved so they could get a bigger room for it. And I know some people were a little crabby about the time change, but it allowed for way more people to see that panel, which worked out in the long run because, again, it's a very popular panel, whatever the hell it may be. So I was there for that. I helped them with the line management for the After Dark vendor hall. And once people got going, it kind of went like clockwork. It was great. And for some people who've been stamped the day before, their stamps still are there. And if that's the case, like if we hold the black light, we can see your stamp from the day before. We'll just let you through because you clearly 18. We already checked you. Some stamps were looking faded. I can tell it's a stamp, but it's a little wonky, so I'll just restamp you and then you can go. If you don't have a stamp at all, then yeah, we're going to check your ID because some people weren't here on Friday. They came Saturday. So, but again, the stamps just work so well. We really need to implement that for Gateway for our meet. I'm going to ask the guys where they got that and bring that up whenever GFM has their next meeting. But it was a long night because again, I got done on 132, and at one point, I think Ringquest, I'm probably not saying his name correctly, we would go back and forth between our real names and our like persona names for GFM persona name, or I'm sorry, your persona name. But for this one, it kind of goes back and forth. So I'll hear someone be referred to as their like legal name, and then also their character name. Like, what is this the same person? Who are we talking about? But he ended up going roaming because we didn't have anyone roaming. We were both down here. We were the only two on at that point. So he was going to do the roaming. I was going to sit and badge check for 18 plus, and that went till 2 because I think the vendor hall closed at 1, but there were a couple of panels going till 2. I think there was a newlyweds one. I don't remember what the other one was. There was one that is ridiculous. It's called Watching Paint Dry, and there was an episode in the show of Gen 4 where some characters are literally watching paint dry. There was a reason for that. I won't get into it. But they have just that picture of that paint dry, not a picture, but like the video of the paint drying. And people are just sitting there watching that dry, and they're playing random music. And people are just singing along with it. It sounds so ridiculous, but people have a ball with it and love singing along in really off-key voices. Unfortunately, again, I'm not sitting just outside any panel room. I'm in the bottleneck, but I can hear. I can definitely hear that all singing. But they're enjoying themselves. They're having the time of their lives. That is what the convention is for. So at 2, I go up. I think JD and Pink Sands are still awake, but we didn't really do anything. Just shower, get to bed, da 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 da. And then Sunday rolls around. I think I start around 10ish or 10:30, and I was on duty from 10. I was on duty from 10 to noon. I was able to get us a late checkout um, at 1 instead of noon. I still got checked out at 1:30. I'm so sorry. Hilton, Hyatt, Regent, wherever the heck we were. But at that point, JD and Pink Sands left. They went back to Springfield because I believe they both worked that Monday. They didn't take off. I did. I always take off on Monday after a convention just to kind of decompress. And for Gateway Fermi this year, since I was staying till Monday to help take down and all of that, I took off Tuesday to decompress. But they left. Got my stuff packed up. I did want to go try the buckball tournament, but it was between 12 and 1:30, so that's when I needed to pack. So couldn't do that. But after I checked out, I was basically back on duty until the end. So charity auction started at 2, and so I do this hybrid of I'm walking around there, I'm sitting and look because I can't stand for long periods. I got flat feet, but I will still look around, make sure everything's okay as they're doing the auction. If something cool comes up, I can raise my hand. I can do 2 things at once. So I'm working the charity auction, and then closing ceremonies rolls right into it after that. They gave us some numbers. We raised over 19K, I believe. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Gateway Fermi. We raised 35K, much bigger number for the Wisconsin Humane Society, who was our charity last year. And it's always really sweet seeing, because they're in the charity auction, they're always sitting off to the side. I think that's where you pay for your stuff. But like one of the coordinators for the Humane Society, they're been in the past 3 years at least. She told us a story last year about how the society, the Humane Society saved her life and saved the life of her little dog, who her abusive partner was going to kill her dog, and she was able to get herself and the dog out of that situation. Not a dry eye on the house when she told that full story last year. But when she was up there just thanking us for everything we did and how much she loves this event and how special it is, I'm just looking at this woman who's probably in her maybe 60s, 60s, and she's wearing like a little like unicorn like headband with just like ears and the little horn, and her pants. If you've been to Hot Topic, they have some G4 merch, which I did not know, and I've actually bought these pajama pants. And I was wearing them all weekend, not out, but in the room when I was going to bed. But they have My Little Pony like main 6 pajama pants, and she was wearing those. It was the sweetest thing on the planet. Just I love it when our charities just embrace the chaos. I absolutely love it when the charities do, and when our guests of honor do. I know, like they had during the closing ceremonies, Andrew Francis was wearing this giant wheel, like a wheel you spin, because again, game show um, theme, and he was such a good sport about it. And I've mentioned Ellie Ray before. I've mentioned Giles Patton. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Giles. But whenever they come, it is very clear they are in. They're just all into this, and they are just having a blast with it. And I love seeing that. I love seeing guests as well as our charities who actually want to be here, not just because you're getting our money, but just because it's a fun time and you're enjoying yourself. But we raised 35K ish for the charity, and I think we had about 1160 in terms of people. So the GFM is actually bigger, which is surprising. Last year or the last GFM, it was smaller. It was 964 or whatever. But then we gained 300 people this year and ballooned to almost 1,300. So yeah, GFM is actually bigger than Ponyville Ciderfest, but I don't really care. I love these smaller conventions. By smaller, I mean like I've also attended MFF. That's 17K, I think. I don't know what their numbers are this year. I think they just ended last week. I'd have to look them up. But they're 17 to 20K, and Anthrocon's about that. I think Anthropon started capping this year for space. So it, I'm just so grateful that these conventions still exist, because this year, BabsCon, it was their last year. They're gone. I really wanted to go to that. I just couldn't. I did not have the money for that. They actually had a really cool BabsCon bundle in the charity auction that I was like, oh my god, I want that. And I have never been to this convention, but I don't care. I want that. And there were some things I didn't buy in the vendor hall just so I'd have money for the charity auction, but it just went a little too high. So I was like, okay, this is my threshold, and it started bidding up, and I was like, oh, I can find an extra $50 now. Okay, nope, I'm out. It's too high at this point. I can't justify that. But it was still a lot of fun, and I I just don't know what to say. I really don't. Again, the more I go, the more I enjoyed it. Even not being a sponsor this year, I really enjoyed going to this, and I love volunteering. I love meeting all these cool people. Gus is volunteer too, but just regular people. We're all coming together because we love this franchise. A franchise that shouldn't still have all the fans that it probably does. I know My Little Pony is older than Gen 4. It started in the 80s, but Gen 4 is where it really blew up. And especially with Gen 5 being very disappointing, I just love the fact that we still have Ponyville Ciderfest, Winnie City PonyCon, Everfree Northwest still exists, HarmonyCon Northwest exists, or just HarmonyCon, I'm sorry. Van Hoover is still out there. These last three, I don't know where they are. Google them. And there was another one that is coming. They don't have a venue, but they're trying to, build up something. I will try. If I can find the flyer I got from them, I'll try and put it here in the pictures. But they're trying to start something, and if the stars align and we can do it, we'll try and bring back the Crystal Fair in St. Louis. So I just love the fact that all this is still going on. It's a really fun time. You get to meet a lot of really cool people. You get to buy a lot of things you really don't need, but you want anyway. And yeah, I'm just overwhelmed and also really hot. So that was Ponyville Ciderfest. That was basically it. I was able to stay a little bit until about 7:15. I parked my car in the garage that was thankfully connected to the hotel, and I ordered it online, so it was a little bit cheaper than what I anticipated, which was great. But I had to be out by 7:30, and I didn't want to know what happened if you didn't get out by 7:30, so I left. And I texted my goodbyes through Slack. Stopped by Taco Bell. Was there for like 30 minutes. It was ridiculous. Things with orders and technology did not work, and the one of my tacos exploded when I opened it, so I had to try and get every bit of shredded chicken off of my everything. So that was a mess. But yeah, beyond that, just shoving tacos in my face as I'm driving. And I got back home around midnight, which is kind of what I expected. And I died Monday, and I took a personal day Tuesday. So I just needed the extra time. I'd come back so late. I was so exhausted. But it was a lot of fun. It was definitely worth it. And now I'm tired, and I am praying to the face this thing is still recording, because I shot this yesterday and it just stopped recording in the middle. So instead of just adding to it because it was already getting long, I just decided to reshoot it. It is the wire. So this will probably be out a little late. I'm sorry about that, but I'm doing my best. Hopefully the merch video will be out on time. But yeah, that's Ponyville Ciderfest 2025. Again, really enjoyed myself. It was a lot of fun. I know my friends all had a lot of fun. Um, so much thanks to all of the other volunteers, which we're all just volunteers in PVCF. At GFM, they have volunteers and then they have like team members. They do separate that. For PVCF, they do not. But I just want to thank everyone who helped me with that and just guided me and assisted me. And I really appreciate everything I did. And I cannot wait to work with everybody again. Definitely PVCF if I can swing it. And if I can go to Winnie City, I will gladly volunteer for that as well. I've never volunteered for them. I think I've only been there once, but it's the same people, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. Okay, so yeah, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm hot. I definitely need a shower. And I think we're going to get more snow, which I hate more than life itself. But right now, I'm going to start editing because, again, this thing is late. But oh, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you attended Ponyville Ciderfest this year, and what you thought about it if you did. Are you planning on attending next year, as well as Winnie City, which surprised the heck out of us because last year they announced they were kind of going to do an every other year thing. So this year's PVCF, next year will be Winnie City, and then 2027 will be PVCF. Apparently that's not the case. PVCF is coming back next year. So I kind of wish they spaced them out because that gives me more time to save money, but it's whatever. Definitely want to go to the Ren Fair themed Winnie City though. So yeah, let me know if you guys are planning to go to that. And I'm gonna die. So let's wrap this up. If you like what I if you like what I do, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Next episode or the next video will be merch, and there is plenty of it. There is a whole corner in my bedroom that is just the merch sitting there waiting to be unboxed. It'll probably be a longer video. One of the merch items from the con itself is a mystery box. They were selling these. I saw people walk around with them. I was like, I want that. And I normally don't do mystery boxes. I did unbox one already on this channel in a collaboration. But other than that, I usually don't do those. I prefer knowing what I'm getting. But for the collaboration, they sold plush, stuffed animals, and I love those. So cool. And for this, it's going to be PVCF Winnie City themed. So, I can't really go wrong unless it's something I already have, and we'll find out. But it will probably be a very long video, so just prepare for that. But anywho, that will finish off 2025. And 2027, or I'm sorry, January 2026, we'll probably start with clothing. I think I mentioned that, Kigu, and some RPG hoodies. So until the second half of December, that will be after Christmas. So happy holidays to everyone, whether you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. I'm not sure when Ramadan is, but I'll throw that in there. Anything you celebrate, please have a happy whatever it may be. And I will talk to you guys at the end of December. Goodbye.